And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Castile versus Garcia. Step forward, please.
24-year-old cook Stephanie Castile is suing her former roommate, 23-year-old nursing assistant Angie Garcia, for an assault and for the return of property. Angie is countersuing for unpaid rent, utility bills, and damage to her property.
Miss Castile, is this your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Is she necessary to be here today?
She witnessed the defendant attacking me.
Take her outside. Sure. All right, Miss Castile, according to your complaint, you moved in with your child to the defendant's home. The defendant also had children. You lived there for a while, and there came a time, leaving when she was supposed to babysit, you wanted to go out, you went to sleep. She went out, it was a party, there was an altercation when she came home, and you claim she attacked you and assaulted you. In addition, she was able to get some property that belongs to you from a car that you possessed. Ms. Garcia says that you were the aggressor in this altercation that took place at the babysitting, that she doesn't have any of your property, and she is counterclaiming for back rent, the damage that you allegedly did to her property, and the things that you took from her home when you left.
Yes.
When did you move in with her, Ms. Castile?
It was in January of 2000.
What was the rent arrangement that you had?
The rent arrangement was to split the house payment, and we each had to pay $330.
And split on the household expenses. Now tell me about this assault. When did it take place?
On May 30th of 2001.
What was the babysitting arrangement?
I was going out that night. She wasn't going to babysit for me, but I had plans to go to the live boxing match. And
She was not going to babysit for you?
no, I had another babysitter arranged. I went to lay down and take a nap. When I woke up, she was gone, and her kids were there.
What time did she come home?
2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
And what happened when she came home?
I asked her why she left her children there while I was sleeping. She was really drunk and really defensive and saying, if I didn't like it, oh well, too bad. Next thing I knew, she was on top of me, choking me. She had her knees up over my arms. And she grabbed my hair, was punching me in the face. I have some pictures.
I'd like to see the pictures, please.
When I tried to push her off me, she bit my thumb, which the thumb picture didn't turn out. And she also bit my back.
Okay, what happened next?
She couldn't find the phone, so she ran to the neighbor's house to call 911 or have them call it. Finally, the police came, and I got the police report.
I see it, please.
But at the time, the police didn't take a police report. They didn't even take our names. So the next morning, I went to the police station, and that's when I got that police report. And I also had to make a report against the police for, I guess, not taking a report because they didn't even take our names. So because I had to move out, I had to use my car payment money to move out. And the bank came to get the car, and a letter was sent to our address that was stating where my belongings that were inside the car were going to be mailed. And the belongings were mailed to my boss's house, and she showed up on that day. And
How do you know that?
He told me that.
Where is he?
He wouldn't come.
You can't tell me what he said, because that's hearsay. Now tell me your version, Ms. Garcia, about the events of May 30th.
We were both supposed to go out together, and I had a sitter for our children. Well, she called and said that she couldn't do it anymore. So she was sleeping on the couch, taking a little nap.
Who called and said they couldn't do it anymore?
My babysitter, my friend Krista. She was going to babysit for both of our children, and she called and said she couldn't do it. I still wanted to go out. As a parent, she didn't want to go. So I put my children and hers to bed, and I went out. I got a call on my cell phone.
Where did you go?
I went to the bar. I got a call on my cell phone after the bar, about 1. And
about 1 o'clock in the morning?
And she had left a message saying, I don't appreciate you leaving me with your kids, just going off on this message. So I went home. And she was mad about it, freaking out. Well, you knew I wanted to go out too, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, well, I'm sorry, next time you can go out. Well, she went upstairs. She was still rambling upstairs. Well, you need to pay me for babysitting your kids and blah, blah, blah. It's like, whatever.
Just a minute, so she went upstairs?
She went upstairs, yes.
And where did you go?
And I was downstairs, and she was yelling at me, well, you need to pay me for babysitting your kids. And I went upstairs, and I said, what are you...
So then you went upstairs?
I went upstairs, yes. And I said, what are you talking about? I babysit your kid all the time, you know? We started fighting, we got on the bed, she kicked me, I flipped over the bed.
No, we passed that over. She went into her room.
No, we started fighting in the hall. And it
Okay.
led right, which is, the door was right here. It's just a little
What do you
tiny
mean
hall.
you started fighting? How did that start?
She's like right in my face, you know, yelling at me for going out. And I had apologized several times already, you know, saying,
Okay.
fine, you can go out next time. I'll watch your kid. I said, it's not like you haven't left me.
I heard that already.
Yes, so then we started fighting.
Started fighting is a conclusion. So far, we're just at the verbal end of it. Miss Garcia.
Like, okay, we're face to face, yelling at
Yes.
each other. Then pushing starts, okay? So then
No,
you start
who started
fighting.
the pushing?
I'm not sure. Maybe me, maybe her, maybe both. I had been drinking, but she was not nice like she's trying to say she was.
I don't think she was nice at all. But
You
I think
know.
that you had been out and you had been drinking.
Yeah. And she was mad because she didn't go with me.
Okay, so you pushed her.
So we started fighting, yes.
No, you pushed her.
No, we were face to face, and I'm not saying I pushed her first because I don't know who pushed who first.
She says that you struck her first.
No, I didn't. No.
How do you know that if you don't remember?
Well,
What happened next?
and then after the fight, the police were called. They said, well, you'll both go to jail. Okay, so we didn't want to press charges. So we both stayed in the house together that night. So I woke up the next morning, and she had majority of her things on the porch. Well, I noticed she was taking my things also. I said, no, get out. You're not going to be taking my things too. So I locked her out. So then she called the police again, and then they came over and assisted or stood there with us while she got the rest of her things.
But you claimed that sometime later she came back and she took things that belonged to you, and she also vandalized your property. When
Yes.
was that?
I went out of town, and I got a call from my husband saying that the house, the door was wide open, it had been broken into. The neighbors, I talked to my neighbors, they
You
said
can't tell me what
Okay.
anybody said to you,
Well,
Ms.
I have the
Garcia.
police report right here.
I'll take a
from
look at the police report.
The witness
I'll
said
take
he's
a look
seen
at the,
her.
I'll take a look at the police report. So you advised the police that an unknown person had broken into your house.
Yes, I did.
Okay. I want to hear what money you say she owes you for rent.
Okay, $560. Then
For what months?
May and June.
You don't get any money for June. Did you pay May's rent?
Yes, I did.
How much did you pay
Because I
in
moved
May?
out of the last day of May.
How much did you pay in May?
$260 probably. I don't know. I don't have a receipt. I always she'd tell me what we owed, and I'd give it to her, and she'd.
I gave
And that
her
was
a
the
check.
first of the month that you paid
Right.
rent.
I had given her my $280, it was, and she was supposed to pay it. She never paid it and kept my $280, so therefore I had to come up with another $560.
You have proof that you gave her this money?
No, I don't.
All right. Listen, then the only thing I'm entertaining here,
That's fine.
quite frankly,
Okay,
is,
then I
is
have
this assault.
I have my insurance paper, which I
Insurance
think
for
is
what?
When she robbed me, when she broke into my house.
But you have no proof that you did it.
Okay,
Listen
that's
to me.
fine.
You have a police report where they say they spoke to a neighbor
Yes, that seen her entering the house.
that said that they
weekend that I
saw
was
her
gone.
and a friend enter the house. That is not sufficient proof
Okay.
of a burglary and a theft and a vandalism. Do you understand?
Yes.
Period. End of discussion. And I'm certain that they didn't arrest her for this. Is that right?
No, they didn't.
Because they didn't have proof. Now, you have no proof for the police to arrest. You certainly don't have any proof for court.
I also have a
You Go
gas
ahead.
bill where we were behind on the gas.
That was
As of
also
when?
behind when I moved in.
No,
What?
it wasn't.
That was also behind when
You
I
moved in 2000.
Yeah, and that's.
You moved in
we
for
were not
January
behind.
of 2000.
Yeah,
The
and
bill
I
was like
wasn't.
$600 a month to heat the house.
So how much were you behind?
$424.71 and $332.62.
Couldn't add these up? What else?
I also have a protection order on her because after I moved out of Omaha, I moved in with my brother. She came down there and just walked into our apartment. This was 9 months ago, and she's nonstop.
Well, she got to stop.
obviously won't
She
leave
got to
me alone.
stop. However, Ms. Garcia, you assaulted her. You had a little too much to drink. You followed her upstairs, and you were aggressive. That's unacceptable. So forget your $378. That's going to be absorbed in the judgment that I'm entering for you. What's the value of the property that you say was taken? $1,800? Well, I'm going to deduct that from the $2,300 you're suing for. So that means that you are seeking $500 for this assault. Well, you are entitled to that. But from that, I'm going to deduct $378 because that's what you owe the utilities at the time that you did live there prior to May.
I paid them.
Let me see.
I gave you the electric that I paid off before I left too. That was
Let me see.
142.
Let me see. $142 you paid?
The deposit was 200 and something. They paid the bill, and then they sent me what was left over.
All right. I'm giving you $500 for the assault. That's what you were suing for. And then I am adding and subtracting these utilities and some money for the utilities that you paid. That leaves you a balance of $264 on your claim of $500, and that's what I'm awarding. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $264. Dismissed. You have no problem.
How does that excuse you to step out? Counselor Christian.
Mr. Jenkins, the defendant is your former girlfriend.
Former acquaintance.
Did you date?
No, not really. I mean, we just basically just seen each other, spent some time together.
And it is your claim that she not only assaulted you in your home, but also purposely vandalized your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
When did this happen, sir?
It started the night of January 14th, and ended up on the morning of January 15th.
And where did it start on the 14th?
I came to pick up Miss Moon from her for her place of residence at her friend's house. She had basically presented me this letter, basically stating her demeanor and her well-being.
What? I don't understand that. Let me see the letter.
Okay, here you go.
You went to pick her up at the place where she was living?
Yes, Your Honor.
What time?
It was about 8 o'clock, Your Honor.
Were you going out that evening?
No, she was basically just coming over to my apartment.
For what?
Probably just to spend some time.
And you would receive this letter before?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, clearly, Miss Moon thought that the relationship was more than just being an acquaintance.
Sure, Your Honor.
So after you read the letter, in which she tells you that she loves you,
Sure.
and that you hurt her feelings, and that you don't love her back, and that you're not careful with her feelings, then you were taking her back to your house to hang out.
We had basically were discussing some confrontations of the letter.
You were discussing what?
The letter. And basically of my feelings towards her.
What did you tell her your feelings were?
I do not take love for granted, and I was not going to tell Miss Moon that I love her when I did not do so, and I was not going to string her along like that.
So what'd you take her back to your house for?
To spend some time.
And what happened when you got to your house?
Basically, we had continued to discuss some more things. She had basically told me that she had a present for me. She let me open up the present. I seen what the present was.
What was it?
A tape.
A tape, okay.
A videotape, Your Honor.
Okay.
Seen the videotape, and pretty much I knew where she was coming from once I seen the actual videotape.
So I assume it was a sexually explicit videotape from the way you're avoiding the subject.
I guess that would be a good assumption, Your Honor.
Okay.
I mean, I try to avoid that, but...
Did you watch the tape with her?
Yes, Your Honor.
And after you watched the tape with her, what happened?
We had...
Look at me when you're talking.
Yes, Your Honor. We had actually became a little bit intimate, but it got to the point where she was more like, no. Okay, well, why? What's going on? And she had told me about how she had went to go take a pregnancy test that she was happy about, so to say, that she wasn't pregnant. I had seemed very relieved, but then she got upset again. She was more like, well, why are you so relieved? And I'm like, well...
And this was the discussion you had on the 14th?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now let's move it along to when you say she attacked.
The discussion got to where she left the bedroom. I followed her out of the bedroom. She continuously was loud, disruptful, yelling, cursing at me. I had asked her to stop many a times. So we got to the point where I had asked Miss Moon to leave. My basically fed up of her actually being very disrespectful. Ms. Moon actually taking her time to where she wanted to leave my apartment. I basically started removing her things onto my front porch.
So she said she didn't want to have sex with you, so you were throwing her things out the door.
No.
Is that...
That's not true.
Well, that sounds... I mean, when you cut through all the baloney that you gave her, sir, you followed her out to the bedroom, right? But she's still saying no. After you watch this video and everybody's all charged up and their juices are all flowing, at least yours were. She's arguing, you don't love me, I love you, you don't get back, take your stuff and get out. You gathered up her stuff and you threw them out the front porch.
That's not true. I had to leave my apartment because she was cursing at me, yelling at me, screaming at me, and also banging things on the floor.
Something happened in between, sir. If she said no, 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 I changed my mind. You must have said something. You said, how come you changed your mind?
Something along the lines is where, why? What's going on? Why are you acting so differently? And then she started telling me more things about how she had had a discussion with her friends, how she basically had felt that I had never felt for her.
Well,
seriously, anyway.
She was clearly right because you described your relationship with her as one of an acquaintance.
True.
An acquaintance is somebody, you know, you go in, you meet at a butcher. You say, hello, how are you? How's your family? That's an acquaintance. That's not a friend. Someone who is just an acquaintance isn't somebody that you worried that maybe the pregnancy test, the rabbit died. That's not an acquaintance.
It was a little more than an acquaintance.
Ah, okay.
Just a little more.
Let's get to the assault, sir.
Miss Moon had finally agreed to actually leave the apartment. And she basically, on my front porch, and she had basically let me know and indicated to me that she had left her glasses in my apartment. I said, well, here, just wait here. I'll go get your glasses. I said, I'm not going to do anything to your glasses. Miss Moon didn't want to hear that. She actually wanted to come into the apartment. And from then on, I had stopped her. And she had continuously brushed past me for the second time. Once she had brushed past me for the second time, it was the points to where I was basically holding her off with my forearm, like so. By doing that, she came past my elbow. This is the weaker part, whatever, and that's where she got to the points to where her head was down, and she had bit me right here on my chest and my shoulder area. Once she had done so, and she was not letting go, it was clear that she was not going to let go. I had needed to get her off somehow. So the best way I knew how at that point was to actually put my hand around her neck. I didn't necessarily choke her, but at the point I held her tight enough to where she actually let go. And once she actually let go, I threw her off of me, and she was basically on the front porch. Once she was on the front porch, she called me some obscenities, whatever, and basically had let me know, well, I'm pregnant anyway, so I hope, you know, you take that, whatever. Stood there, watched her as she walked down the stairs, as while she's yelling and shouting, whatnot, obscenities. Watched her actually break my cologne bottles, which I have here, that she broke over my car. I have a picture of my car. And she basically was kind of like provoking me to come out there and kind of like do something about what she had actually done to my car.
Was she downstairs already when she threw the bottles at your car?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many bottles did she throw at your car?
2.
Okay, let me see the damage to the car.
It's not necessarily the best of pictures, Your Honor, but however, I can't point
They're all
out.
you got.
I also went to go get estimates of how much it would actually cost to get my car repaired. Here's are the estimates. And these are the bite marks for that night.
Okay, and according to your complaint, you went and were treated the next day at the hospital or an emergency?
Yes, Your Honor. I was treated at Mount Carmel East in Columbus, Ohio. And these are my medical bills.
All right, Miss Moon, let's hear it.
Okay, he was supposed to come get me at 8 o'clock. The reason I wrote that letter is because he told me I will be there at 8 o'clock, and he didn't show up till midnight. So I wrote the letter because I was sick of it, you know what I mean? And we sat and we had a discussion at my place until we didn't leave until 1 o'clock. We got to his apartment. We started to watch the movie, but his VCR doesn't have any tracking, and we couldn't watch the movie. And I had to go to work the next day at 10 o'clock. He was supposed to take me, and I told him, I'm ready to go to bed. I just want to go to sleep. And he started asking me why, and I said, because I don't feel like it. So automatically that means I'm sleeping with somebody else. I became all these and everything else.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
I wasn't
Listen,
having it.
Did you see how quiet she was?
She was, I mean, if I can't sit there.
Shh. Did you see how quiet she was when you were testifying?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's how quiet I want you to be.
But I wasn't lying to her, though.
Just a second. What word that I said didn't you understand?
I understand clearly now, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brian Jenkins says after an argument with former friend Tia Moon, she assaulted him and vandalized his car. Tia says Brian tried to strangle her, so she bit him.
And so I asked him to take me home, and he refused. I asked him about 3 or 4 times, just take me home, please, just take me home. He wouldn't take me home. And I started to get my stuff. He started taking it and throwing it. And I did forget my glasses, and I went back to get it, and he grabbed me around here, and I bit him, and he started strangling me. He was grabbing my neck.
That's also a lie, Your Honor.
What word didn't you understand when I said, when she's testifying, unless I'm looking at you and asking you a question, don't speak?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so he was having me around my neck. He wasn't really...
Why did he put his hands on your neck?
I guess he didn't want me to go back into the apartment. He didn't...
Well, did he tell you not to go back into the apartment?
He said, hold on, and I was like, I'll get him, and he just grabbed me, and I was like, all right, you know, and then...
So he grabbed you?
Yeah.
And you bit him?
Yeah.
Hard?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And I threw his cologne. When he was throwing my stuff out, I was like, all right, so I threw his stuff out. You know what I mean? I didn't care.
Now, he threw your stuff out after you had bitten him?
No, before. And so I didn't throw the cologne at his car. I just threw it, and it landed in the grass. And after he started strangling me, he threw me onto the porch, and I gathered my stuff up, and I was leaving. And he started saying something to me, and I had the cologne, another bottle, and I just tossed it, and it hit his car. And I just kept on walking, and I was halfway down the street to go to the payphone to call my friend to come pick me up. And he gets in his car, and he drives, and he tries to get me to come in the car. But the whole time he was struggling, and he was telling me, you know, I can kill you right now. What do I look like getting in the car with somebody that said they were going to try and kill me? So I told him, no, just leave me alone. I'll walk, I'll find another ride. And he continued to just follow me, he came behind me, he grabbed my book bag with my work clothes in it, he grabbed my jacket. I'm sorry. And he grabbed my glasses off my face, and I kept walking, and he did this for like an hour. All I wanted was for him to let me alone so I can call my friend and go home. He wouldn't leave me alone. He picked me up and he threw me in his car, and I got out and I kept running because I was scared. I was crying. I thought he was going to kill me. He told me he was going to kill me.
He didn't tell you he was going to kill you?
Yes.
No, listen to me! He didn't say to you if he was following you to try to put you in the car to drive you home that he was going to kill you?
No, but when he is...
No. Right. You know, don't embellish the story. Do we understand each other? To make a long story short, you finally got in the car, he drove you home, and he dropped you off. No. There was at least some modicum of concern about your safety at that hour in the morning, walking around by yourself. That's why you got in the car to take you home, even after you bit him, and even after you damaged his car, right? Mr. Jenkins. You're a cad, but not a total louse. Here you have a situation where you have a young lady who is clearly more infatuated with you than you are with her. That's what you said, because you described her to me as an acquaintance. And clearly, she poured her heart out to you in this letter that you read before you took her back to your house. So someone who was a decent person would say to themselves, look, I really don't care about this lady the same way she cares about me. And I don't want to lead her on anymore, because clearly she's lonely, she's vulnerable, so I don't want to lead her on anymore, and I'm just going to end it. But you decided, well, as long as we both have nothing to do, we'll go back to my house. So you went back to your house, and with this acquaintance, you were going to have a sexual encounter, one that you had had before, something that a decent person doesn't do to somebody who's vulnerable. Better off just cutting it off and saying, look, it's not going to work out. I don't feel the same way that you do. So you're a cad, but you're not a total louse, because you didn't want her to walk home alone. It's in the middle of the night, so you, even after the attack on you and your car, I don't know what you found more devastating, the attack on you or your car. Usually guys find the attacks on their cars more devastating than the attacks on themselves. You did, in fact, get into your car and say, let me take you home. You got it?
I do understand, Your Honor.
You bit him. That's a no-no. I don't believe that you bit him in order to have him release his stronghold on you. I think that you got very angry that night, and I think you probably had reason, but you weren't acting like a smart lady. If you sense from somebody that they're really not interested in you, what you're supposed to do is cut your losses and move on. Cut your losses, move on, find somebody else that wants to be as good to you as you want to be to them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Fine.
Can I also have something else, Your Honor?
I would love to hear something else. Make sure I'm going to like it.
Okay.
Because so far you're winning.
I basically did want to say that I do have a permanent mark here because of the actual bite wound.
Maybe it'll teach you to be more careful with somebody's feelings. Mr. Jenkins, you got it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Car is $763 to fix. Your emergency room was $446. So your total bills were $1,209. However, I do believe that you have to be compensated for the pain and suffering. A bite mark is dangerous. And I am awarding you $2,000 on your judgment, which is some $800 more than the actual damages that you sustained. Have you both moved on with your lives, I assume?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was actually pretty upfront and honest. That's the type of person that I am.
I'm only 19. I got other things to do with my life.
If you see a female get more like out of line, whatever, just go ahead and handle the situation.
I'm just happy that it's over.
Yes, this is case number 477 on the calendar in the matter of Hubbard versus Hubbard. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
You're Michael.
Yes.
Michael, the defendant is your father, and according to your complaint, when you were 16 or 17, you had a job.
Yes.
Or 2 jobs.
2, yes.
And you and your dad opened a bank account and deposited your money in the account. The money was all your money. You needed his signature on the account because you were a minor.
Yes.
And then there was some sort of a dispute involving your father and your mother, and they're divorced?
Separated.
And your father withdrew all the money from your account.
All of it but $2.51.
And how much money did you have in the account?
Before he withdrew it, I had $1,527.51.
Why did you withdraw your son's money?
$775 I drew out for room and board when he stayed with me for 2 months.
All right, so let's start with the $775 that you withdrew for room and board.
Yes.
When did he live with you?
From June 20th until August 20th.
And how old was your son in June of 2001?
17.
When did he turn 18?
December 11th.
You can't charge him for room and board. You're his father. You're responsible for him.
Ma'am, he was living with his mother at the time, and he came to, with her agreement, came to live with me so he could work. Before June, I was paying child support. And when he came to live with me, I just figured that I was entitled to the child support back.
You figured wrong. You may be entitled to the child support back, but not from him.
When this all started out, I acknowledged to him that I was going to do this, and he had
I don't care what you acknowledge to him. And even if he agreed that he'd pay you room and board, even if he agreed, which he didn't, you can't hold a minor to a contract. I mean, I never heard of something so ridiculous in my life. Your son worked, he put money in the bank, he was saving for, I don't know, college, future, whatever. You decided later to withdraw money because you figured he owed you for room and board. Outrageous! What's next? What's next? $775.
Yes.
Room and board. What else did you take out?
Me and his mother had a dispute on child support that I owed. We went to court about that. And, you know, in order to get a lawyer, I told him I was going to take some money out to pay for the lawyer. That was because of another situation that was going on.
What?
His grades in school, that I was trying to get custody back for him.
Yes.
To make him do better in school.
So?
And I had to get a lawyer in order to do that.
So? You wanted him to pay for the lawyer so that you could get custody of him?
No, I did not want him to pay for the lawyer.
Well, but he did. That's what you just told me. You took money out of his account so that you could pay for a lawyer to get custody of him. Isn't that what you just told me?
Yes, I did.
Well, am I correct? I mean, when you cut through all the baloney, that's what it was.
But I told him I was going to do this in order to file for custody for him.
Well,
and when I told him that, he had no problem with it.
What do you mean he had no problem with it?
He didn't disagree or agree.
Mr. Hubbard, what do you do for a living?
I'm an electrician, ma'am.
Well, let me give you the facts of life, Mr. Hubbard. The facts of life are parents support their children and provide for necessaries for their children until their children reach the age of majority. Then, if they're really lucky, the children will take care of themselves. Only if they're really lucky. Most parents take care of their children even after they've reached their majority. They pay for college, they pay for books, they pay for clothes, they pay for trips, they pay for medical, they pay for dental, they pay for orthodontia, they pay for cars, they pay for gas, they pay for dating. When they're 19 and 20 and 21 and 22, and sometimes even until they're 30. You, on the other hand, want your child to pay for himself, for his room and board, as well as for a lawyer for you. Hello? Michael, your father is misguided. You're entitled to your money back, Michael. Now, I assume at this point you and your father aren't getting along too well.
No.
And I assume that it will take some time for that to work itself out, if it ever does. Maybe he understands that he did the wrong thing. Maybe.
May I say something else, you mean?
Yeah, sure.
I got custody of him on December 14th, 99. His grades were falling bad. When I finally got custody of him, I made him do his homework, and his grades came up. And then His mother filed, 9 months later, filed for custody back of him because I was being too hard on him. I was making him do his homework. I was making him tell me where he was all this time, anytime he was out. Well, that's too hard on him as far as she's concerned. So she got custody back of him, and I have his report cards here showing that when he was with me, he was doing better, and now that he's with her, he's completely failing.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 18-year-old Michael Hubbard says his father, Ray Hubbard, stole money from his bank account. Ray says he needed the money.
Your job as a parent is to do what is best for your child, to look into...
That's what I was trying to do. I had his interest in heart all the time.
Fine. Let us say I absolutely agree that you felt as if he needed a stronger hand in order to do his work so that he could do well in school, so that he could move on. You felt as if you had to, as a parent, fight for custody so that he would do better. Is that fair? Is that a fair statement, sir?
No, sir. No, ma'am, that's not what I was doing.
I thought that's what you were doing.
Well, I am, but as far as his mother is concerned, she won't let him grow up.
It doesn't make any difference. Well, you're not listening to me, sir. I said you felt as if you had to do what you did in pursuing custody of him because you felt as if it was in his best interest.
Yes, I still do.
And you still do?
Yes.
Good. He doesn't pay for that. You pay for that. That's a necessary, not for him. That's a legal necessary for you. You as a parent are supposed to do the right thing. You felt in your heart the right thing was that he lived with you. You would be a better parent for him at this stage in his life. Good for you. You pay for it.
I understand that.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,527.51. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
A parent should be more responsible.
It was in the best interest of the child.
A minor shouldn't have to pay for room and board.
I'm going to keep fighting it.
Number 449 on the calendar in the matter of Byer versus Borowski. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Mr. Byer, the defendant was a former employee of yours. She no longer works for you. She was terminated by you. It is your claim that while she was working for you, she misappropriated funds from your business. The defendant says she didn't do it. When did she start to work for you?
She started to work for me approximately 4/10 in the year of 2000.
And what was her job?
She was a secretary office manager.
What kind of business do you have?
I have a heating and air conditioning company and a real estate development corporation.
What were her duties?
She would do most of the office management work, write checks, mail letters, type things on the computer, answer the phones, things like that.
When was she terminated?
11/18/01.
Why?
Her annual review was 8/01, and at that time her job duties were lacking in her responsibilities of her job, and she had a poor review at that time. And with that review, I also began noticing that she was having many problems with taking paper, faxing copies of her husband's job resume, and stealing other items.
What other items?
I have some evidence here. We have QuickBooks. She was writing rebate checks to herself so that she could get the checks rebated in her own name.
That is totally untrue.
That's not what you're suing her for.
No, but it's part of the history of the evidence.
Okay. When did you discover that she had used company funds for her own purposes?
In February of the following year.
February of 2002. Okay. Let me see proof.
Here's evidence of the order form.
What are these things? Chanel throws, baskets, Pooh honey pot lamp, Pooh prints.
Things that we wouldn't use in the heating company business, ma'am.
Are all of these things bills that are attributed to her?
If you'll notice, the person who placed the order is on the invoice.
Yes.
And they were all ordered by her.
Okay, and you're saying that the items that were ordered
Yes, ma'am.
were not items that you use in your business?
We do not use Chanel pillowcases in heating and air conditioning.
Okay.
And Pooh bear cups, we don't use those either.
I'd like her to take a look at these, please. Have you ever seen these?
Absolutely. I'm not denying that I didn't order them, but they certainly didn't go home with me.
So you're not denying that you ordered these things?
Correct, ma'am.
And she would order things from this company for your business, but you say not these things?
No, we don't ever use that supplier. There's nothing that we could ever order through them for our company.
So you never used these people?
I didn't know the company existed.
Ms. Borowski, you ordered them?
Correct, ma'am.
Why?
To the best of my knowledge that I can recall, I must have been asked to order them by Mr. Byer. I did a lot of ordering of a lot of different things. On an occasion that I can recall off the top of my head, I ordered a necklace for his girlfriend's birthday on company funds. There were several things that were ordered through that business that were on company funds. My husband, which was working part-time for the business, in fact, did deliver to Mr. Byer's home. Lots of things would come in and be delivered to the business and would go to his home.
Madam, when somebody asks you in your capacity as office manager, I mean, there are a lot of things here. There's not one or two items. There are a lot of little items. But you would get an order form for these things, correct?
They were all ordered over the internet. In my research and finding out what happened after the fact, I talked to the company. I had them send me copies of the faxes, which I have here, of what happened. She ordered them during the day on the internet at the office because it came to the internet address of our office. And the internet address is Jessica Borowski. And I have that here also.
Not your company.
She used the internet office name Jessica Borowski on our internet at the office.
Why did you do that?
I can't recall ordering anything off of the internet.
Can I see?
And they will not ship unless it's to an office.
These were all done within a relatively short period of time.
Excuse me, they were all ordered the same day. The shipping dates are different, but they were all ordered on one order. And how I found out that I was liable, the bill kept coming for the shipping charges. And at what time, when the bill kept coming, I kept sending the bill to her house. She refused to pay the bill. I saw my company name of GBR on the invoice, so I opened it up and found out that it was billed to me. I called the supplier up to find out what happened. And they told me, well, it was ordered during the day. Your company is responsible for the bill. I said, I never ordered these items. And they said, well, yes, you do, because it came to your company.
Okay, I want you very carefully, Ms. Borowski, to look over these items because they were, in fact, all ordered in November. They are all household items. Hands-free mini phone, an over-the-sink organizer. Clearly somebody was furnishing up a house.
Mr. Byer was building a house at that time. I do have pictures of that.
You don't need these things when you're building a house. These are things that you order when you already have the house built and you're accessorizing the house. So we're not talking about one item in 1 month, then another item another month. We're talking about somebody placing an order for all of these things. So you tell me, Ms. Borowski, why you think that Mr. Byer would pursue this matter since he says, and I believe him, he didn't get any of these things. Why do you think he would accuse you of doing it?
That I'm not sure why he would accuse me personally. Well, I work for it, so. But he ordered several things from several different companies all the time that were delivered to the business.
Several and not 35 items, all ordered the same day, all domestic products. Ms. Borowski.
I'm telling you that I mean, those are not mine. Those are not mine.
I have a coup de grace in there. This is a check that she wrote in her own handwriting and signed my name at the bottom of the check register. When she was terminated, the check register came up missing. And I'd like to also submit that there's also several other checks that you can see the difference in the handwriting and the signature on the bottom of the check.
I was authorized to sign checks.
You were authorized to sign checks in whose name?
In his name. If
You were authorized to sign his name?
He gave me permission to sign checks when things arose that he wasn't able to be at the office to sign a check for something that I was instructed to sign his name to a check.
She did sign when we were out of the office, sometimes on an occasional basis. I will not deny that. It was with prior approval, Your Honor. I would not order a bunch of gifts for myself or my household and sue her because I didn't get them or just to sue her for the money.
So you wrote out a check for all the items and signed his name.
I could have wrote that check. I'm not denying that fact at all.
Let's take a look.
Your Honor.
For the exact amount of the order, $676.
I'm not denying that I could have wrote that check.
After she was terminated, Your Honor, the packages came in, if you look from the order shipping dates, the packages came in a staggered amount. She was already terminated. She was no longer there. Her husband came in, Jeff, and picked up the package as they came in. They started strolling in.
You mean he actually came into the place and picked up packages that were marked for her?
We called them to come and pick them up. Yes, that's true. And he picked up, and I didn't know that I had paid for them until February.
I'm not denying that I ordered things from that company, but they certainly weren't anything that was on there. And I have a refund check that was sent to me that I paid for my part, and I overpaid them.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeff Byer says he fired Jessica Borowski after he found out she was ordering things off the internet and paying for them with company funds. Jessica says Jeff ordered those items for his girlfriend.
Mr. Byer, is this a company that you ever deal with?
I never knew they existed until I got the billing.
You've gone over all of your back bills from the company to see whether you ever dealt with this particular company, and you did not.
No, I never knew they existed.
And the only order that came in was this order that was shipped on different dates, but all to her attention.
Exactly.
And after she was terminated, you called the house and said, come in, you've got some packages here.
Right.
And he came to pick them up.
Yes, they came in staggered. So we had to call him several times. When the billing kept coming, we kept sending the bill to her, and she refused to pay.
Now she's going to pay judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $676. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was the only employee there handling his finances. There was nobody else to hold responsible.
Evidence in this case shows that she's a pathological liar.
He was wanting to hold me responsible for his mistake of not depositing enough money.
It's a shame that you trust people and you pay them to do a job and then they steal from you.
People should be more careful who they do business with, because this guy really is a crook.
Just watch over your shoulder.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Pettit versus Ryan. Step forward.
34-year-old daycare provider Cynthia Pettit is suing former client, 23-year-old mortgage consultant Lacey Ryan, for unpaid child care fees. Lacey says Cynthia hit her 3-year-old son.
Ms. Pettit, you provided daycare services for the defendant for approximately a week.
A week and a half, Your Honor.
And she removed her child from your care. You claim she did not pay you.
Correct.
Defendant says she did, in fact, pay you. She removed the child because she said that you had hit the child. What kind of facility do you run?
I do an in-home daycare. I'm licensed through my county, and I have a zoning permit that allows me to take in children and do daycare.
How many children do you have?
I have one child, and I take care of 4 other children at the present time.
And what age are the other 4 children?
The youngest is 13 months, a year and a half, 2 years, and 2.5 years.
And
my
how old
daughter's
is your
3.
child?
He just turned 3.
And what date did you bring your son to the plaintiff's home?
I believe it was November 19th.
Okay, and what was your financial arrangement with the defendant?
My contract states that I get paid on Mondays, $150 for the week. She came in on a Monday.
You have a copy of the contract?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it, please?
She came in on a Monday, told me that she was going to start working on Tuesday. I told her, I said, you know, I understand that it's tight right now with you starting a new job. I said, if you want, I'll let you pay me the following Monday.
This is not a contract. This is that she understands the terms and conditions of child care policy.
I don't do a month.
You have a contract that provides for termination, illness, emergency, and there is a place for her to sign here. Okay, so you brought the child in on Monday, and she said she can't pay until the following week, and you said okay. Mm-hmm. So you took care of the child from Monday through Friday.
From Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday was Thanksgiving. I told her I was open for business on Friday, and she said she wasn't going to bring him in because it was Thanksgiving holiday. I said, I will not charge you for Thanksgiving Day. But
so Tuesday and Wednesday?
And Friday, we agreed because I was open for business, but she chose not to bring him.
And when the next week did you take care of the child?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Friday, she did not show.
So you actually took care of the child for 6 days. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you say she did not pay you any money?
No, ma'am.
And you say you paid her money?
I paid her for the full 2 weeks, even though she didn't watch him for the full 2 weeks.
Prove it.
I paid her in cash.
Well, tell me about it.
She watched him the first week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think Thursday was Thanksgiving that she didn't watch him.
Well, Thursday is always Thanksgiving, or Thanksgiving is always on a Thursday.
So, but the rest of the week I didn't bring him. And the arrangement was to pay her the following Friday when I got paid. I took him Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. When I took my son there, he started screaming, no Cindy's house, no Cindy's house. I took him anyway. I picked him up early that day. When I picked him up, he was crying. He said he didn't want to go back. The next morning, I went to take him. That was a Thursday. As soon as we pull up, like in the same vicinity as her home, my son, he's 3, starts screaming, no, I don't want to go to Cindy. Cindy hit me like that. Cindy hit me like that, like 4 or 5 times. So I turned right back around, took him home, ended up quitting my job because of it, because I didn't want my son to feel threatened.
That Friday, my girlfriend came down, got a cash advance from her credit card, gave me $300. We were at my house. Robert was there, and me and her drove over to Cindy's house. I had 3 $100 bills in an envelope. I knocked on the door, handed it to her, and walked away. Monday, I didn't show up. She called and asked where he was. I said, I'm not bringing him back. He says that you hit him.
Let me tell you why I have reservations about your story, Miss Ryan. Because according to you, on Thursday, you did not bring the child there because you said your son complained that the plaintiff had hit him in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't ring true to me that even though your son said that to you, the next day you would make arrangements to go and get $300, which is 2 full weeks of daycare when the child was only there for 6 days, and just walk up to her house without so much as a call. She didn't call you.
Well, she had been calling me prior to that, all day Thursday and Friday. She had called me, and she called my boyfriend, Robert.
And what did she say when she called?
She said that she was going to take us to court. We can do this the easy way or the hard way.
Why was she going to take you to court?
Because she wanted, I told her that I would pay her on Friday. I didn't get there till 6:30, quarter till 7 at night. All day. So she called me and said how many times we've been hung up on. My husband was there and they were hanging with her. We actually used my husband's Nextel to make the calls because when we were calling from the house, they would not answer the phone.
Are you prepared?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Miss Pettit, you do not have a signed contract that requires you to give you any notice at all. You may think you have a contract, but you do not have a signed contract. So to get the notice provision. By the way, Miss Ryan, did your son start daycare again anywhere?
Yes, he's in kindergarten.
And when did he start kindergarten?
The week of December 22nd.
So it was really just for a few weeks that he was out of daycare?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you had quit your job, you said?
Yes.
Are you back working now?
Yes.
Okay. She took care of your son for 6 days. 6 days at $30 a day is $180. That's what you wrote to the judge with the complaint. That's all.
That's the case with 508 on down in the matter of Britton versus Simmons. Parties have been sworn in, judge. You may proceed, ma'am.
Miss Britton, you've known the defendant for a long time and you were friends. According to you, you claim a series of loans to him. He says that you did buy some Christmas gifts for him and for his children, but none of this was by way of a loan. It was all gifts. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how long have you known him?
About 10 years.
And when for the first time do you claim you gave him a loan?
In October of 2001.
Tell me about it.
Him and his friend had went out to a club and he was too intoxicated to drive. And his friend drove his car and they got pulled over. And his friend was on a restricted license and they towed his car. And he did not have the money to get the car out of tow, so I let him borrow.
So you weren't with him?
No.
He contacted you in some way. How did he contact you?
He called me the next day after it had happened.
And what did he say to you and what did you say to him?
He was just like, babe, my car got towed, and he was just going on and on. He was really upset.
He called you up and said, babe, my car got towed.
Mm-hmm. And told me the story of how he was too drunk to drive and his friend had drove the car. They got pulled over and could I come get him?
And where was he?
He was at his mother's house.
So did you go and pick him up at his mother's house?
I went and picked him up.
And where did you take him?
He dropped me off at my cousin's house. So I spent the day at my cousin's house and he came back and got me later.
So he took your car?
He took my car.
She willingly gave me the car.
It wasn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I still didn't hear anything about money. What caused you to go and get the money?
He said, I do not have all of the money to get my car out of tow. He had about $100 and maybe $50. It was about $300 and something to get his car out. He said, can I borrow $200 until I get paid, which he got paid that Friday. So can he borrow the money until Friday to get his car out of tow?
And you said yes?
Yes.
Okay. When was the next loan you made to him?
Christmas time.
Tell me about that loan.
The loan came about when it was coming time for Christmas, and I knew he's a waiter. He does not make that much money.
Hold on, man. First.
And so he hadn't already paid me
the other money. So in conversations, I would ask him about the money.
What happened when the 2 weeks went by? You said you was going to get paid in 2 weeks.
Okay.
You didn't get your money.
2 days after he got his car out of tow, his friend that he was with that got his car towed, his sister had got killed. And he basically watched this girl grow up. So he wasn't going to work. He was really, really depressed. He wasn't going to work because he was with his friend and his family. So at that point, I understood that he wasn't going to work to make any money to pay me back.
So what happened Christmas time?
So this whole time, me and him are dating. I'm around his kid and everything. So I'm asking him, you know, when is he going to start doing his Christmas shopping? I don't know. I don't have the money right now to go Christmas shopping. So I asked him, well, do you want us to just go on and go? And then when you get paid, you can just pay me when you get paid for whatever we get. Because Christmas time, you have kids. You do not want to wait till the last minute to go get them with their presents. By the time he was gonna go,
Miss Britton, so you gave him your credit card and you went out.
I didn't get your credit card.
So you gave him cash.
I went shopping for the kids.
You did?
I went shopping for the kids.
That's enough.
Yeah.
You don't get paid back for that.
Well, evidently.
Evidently, I'm telling you, if somebody borrows $200 in October and then gets very depressed and doesn't go to work for a couple of months, and then goes back to work and has no money not only to pay you back, but you decide that the children should have Christmas presents because it's coming to be Christmas and it's a nice thing for the children to have Christmas presents. If you go buy them Christmas presents and sign the card, "Love Daddy," that's your problem.
I didn't
That's your
sign
problem.
any card.
Fine. You just gave it to him and he gave it to the children?
He came and picked it up and he gave me some money that day, actually on the clothes that I had bought.
Good. So let's deal with the $200. Let me hear, Mr. Simmons, about this $200 that she gave you to get your car out of tow. Please stop smiling.
What happened was, my car did get towed. I tried to do the right thing by not driving under the influence of alcohol. I mean, you know, and I didn't know my friend didn't have a valid license. He had a license.
I don't give a rat's behind about the circumstances,
I know.
sir. You took $200 from her to get your
She
car
offered.
out of tow. So I want you to tell me how that came about.
Well, basically, it came about as, to make a long story short,
No.
as long as I'm spending time with her, I can have what I want.
When you got your car towed, first of all, your
Yes, ma'am.
smiling irritated me so badly. I just
I
threw
apologize.
my joint out.
I apologize. I apologize.
Mr. Simmons, listen
Yes,
to me
ma'am.
very carefully, sir. Your car got towed. You weren't with the plaintiff.
Right.
At some point, she had to find out that your car, stand up, that your car got towed and that you didn't have money to get it out.
Right.
So how did she find out?
She called me that morning, and she's like, "What's wrong with you? Why you sound like that? This and this and that." And I told her what happened.
So you told her that your car got impounded.
Yes, ma'am.
And what else did you tell her?
That, you know, I don't know how I'm going to get it out, whatever, you know, we'll do and whatnot. And she
What
offered...
do and what not? What does that mean, what do and what not?
I got to figure out a way to get my car out.
Oh.
Because I have to go to the police department and talk to the chief or whoever handles that and let them know, you know, like a little hearing and tell them, you know, I wasn't trying to drive an influence, all that stuff. And then, you know, she was like, well, you know, if you need it, you can, you know, you can have it. And there was no problem, you know. Actually, she took me to the police department 2 times in one day to try to get the lift for my car.
Isn't she a nice person? What have you done for her?
Well, you know, I helped her mom move before.
No, not her mother. What did you do for her?
I washed her car.
That's very nice.
If she needs anything, you know.
No, what did you do? Not what if she needed. I want to know.
Whatever she needed me for.
Tell me. Give me, other than washing her car, sir.
I don't have finances, so I really haven't did nothing financially for her.
What other things did you do that were nice for her? Did you ever give blood for her?
No, my blood's not, no.
No. Did you ever take her someplace when her car was in repair?
Well, she's always had a car. Okay.
The answer would be no.
No.
Did you ever drive her to work?
No, but I've drove her places.
Tell me about that.
Like out to eat or to the mall or things like that.
You mean when you were going together as a couple?
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to her running alongside your car, you actually drove in the car together.
Luttrell says it only became alone after he stopped seeing her.
Now tell me about the harassment that you're complaining of, sir.
First, I almost lost my job for her calling my job all the time. I have a write-up from my job. You know, my boss telling me if she keeps calling, you know, we're going to have to let you go. And
Well, what about maybe your boss said he would let you go because you hadn't shown up for work so much?
No, actually, that was all taken care of and everything. He
It
had
really
no
was.
problem.
Listen,
I mean, I called
she
my
wants
boss
her-
crying on
She
the phone
wants her
about my
money.
problem.
You should have given her her money. She would have stopped calling you.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
at
but
the same
nothing.
time, what about when she pulls out a bat on my car?
What about it?
One morning I come home and, you know, I have a female friend with me and everything, and she's at my house because her and my aunt are good friends, and I let her, you know, I didn't let her, but she was in my bed sleep. So me and my friend, we come to the house, and I see her in the bed, so I said, well, we can't go in there because my friend's in the room sleeping. So she's in the other room, I'm in the restroom. She busts in the restroom, cussing me out, this, and that. Before I know it, I comes out the restroom, she's leaving, and she comes to the other driveway of my house and pulls out a bat like she's going to hit my car with a bat.
Let me ask you this question. This friend that you were with was a lady friend?
Yes.
She the mother of any of your children?
No.
If she hadn't been sleeping in your bed, sir, would you have spent the night with this lady friend in your room? Probably.
Probably so.
Probably.
Probably
Mr.
so.
Simmons, you have to act responsibly. If she gave you money and what you're suggesting is she had more of a romantic interest in you than you had in her, is that what you're suggesting, sir? All right. Then what you do if you are a responsible, nice human being, you do not encourage that by accepting any gifts which says, I like you too, and therefore I'm going to let you spoil me a little bit. What you do is say, I don't want to take any money from you. We're friends. That's all we are. And I will take care of all these things by myself, even if I have to walk to work.
At the same time, Your Honor, I'm not the first gentleman she sued for loans and gifts she's have gave me, and so, you know.
I've never seen her before, sir. So it's the first time she sued somebody here.
Oh.
You just pay her $200, and then I will be happy. She may not be totally happy because she didn't get her Christmas presents back, but that's her problem.
Okay.
But you pay her the $200. That's what you needed to get your car out of tow, and that's what she loaned you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $200. Your counterclaim for harassment is dismissed.
Thank you.
Parties are
Smile.
excused. You may step out.
He's a liar and a charmer.
I think she wants me, you know, as a boyfriend or companion.
He knows that I loaned him the money. It was no gift.
But, you know, I'm a bachelor and I have to do what I have to do.
He doesn't have nothing and he's not going to have nothing, so I'm not even worried about it.
Probably won't ask too much from, you know, a female or anything. Just take care of myself. It's too much of a hassle.
Doesn't have nothing to do with him wanting to see somebody else, but he disrespected me.
Both could be friends, you know what I'm saying? Friendship never hurt nobody.
You don't bring another woman to where I am.
And now, 40-year-old courier, Suzanne Hoffman.
What is your first name? Eric. How old are you, Eric? 15. Unless I need Eric as a witness, I'm going to ask Eric to step outside. Can you do that for me, Eric? When I need you, I'll call you. Okay? Thank you very much.
Your Honor, I think it's really important that you speak with Eric. You're here because you couldn't let go of this stuff that was at his dad's house.
Listen to me. It's never a good idea to put a child in the middle of a controversy. Ever. I don't care what it's about. The child has two parents. It's not his fault that the two parents aren't together anymore. So you keep a child out of court at all costs. If there's some issue of abuse, you don't bring a child into the system. You and the defendant have one child, I assume, together?
We have two.
How old is the other child?
11.
Lives with you?
Yes.
There was a time that Eric lived with his father. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did Eric live with you?
He lived with me last year for a school year.
Okay. And that was because you were having some trouble with him, Mrs. Hoffman?
Yes.
You were having some difficulty? Is Eric in special classes?
No, Eric's not. He wanted to live with his father since his dad left. He's made life
difficult. Whatever it was, he wanted to live with him, so he went to live with his father for a year. Then in the summer, he was coming home. At the end of the summer, you sent him back to his father. And this case involves the fact that you claim that his father refused to take him back after the summer. He not only refused to take him, he was not there at the airport when Eric arrived at the airport. He had to scurry around. You had to get a plane ticket for waiting for him to come back. What are you shaking your head no for? This is what your case is about.
I'm sorry. Yes.
That's what this case is about. You want to be reimbursed for the extra travel expenses because his father wasn't there, for the cost of parking your car at the parking lot.
That was a secondary reason.
Well, that's what this is for. And the return of Eric's personal property.
The personal property was the thing that Eric couldn't let go of.
Fine, so you're not seeking any travel expenses or
That's
anything?
fine. It would be nice to have the money that I didn't spend back again. But this was because Dad didn't send his things back like he asked. The last time Eric saw Dad, he hugged him and said, "I'll see you in 3 months, son."
So you're not interested in that. You just want what you say is Eric's property.
I want Eric to have some closure, yes.
Okay. Mr. Smoljan, I assume from reading your answer that after the summer, you, and is this your wife?
Fiance.
Fiance. You live together?
Yes, we do.
Decided that Eric was too much to handle?
Yes.
And you decided that he should not come back?
Yes.
When did you communicate that to the plaintiff?
Well, 2 weeks prior to Eric going to Portland, where I wasn't there to get him because I was up hunting, I got a phone call stating that they were at an airport. They were going to send Eric. So I called the airlines and said, do not send Eric, that physically I can't take care of him anymore because I have seizures. And so they didn't let him on the airplane.
This was 2 weeks before?
Yes.
May I interrupt?
Not yet.
Okay.
I stopped the airline at that time.
Fine, and then 2 weeks later he got on a plane?
Right, with no knowledge at all. If I did, I would have been there. So,
when you let Eric leave your house to go to his mother's for the summer, I assume he left some stuff there.
Yes, he did, in our garage. No.
That's the stuff that Eric wants.
Yes.
Tell me what it is.
Well, I brought a bag that was Eric's, and there was some clothing. We sent him a Pokemon game, and I think that was in it too.
In where?
In the paperwork that's stating that that's what he was suing for.
Right.
We sent that back because he said he lost it on the airplane. Well, we did have it at the house. We did send that to him. So basically it's the clothes, the bag, what was in the garage.
Let me see what his mother says was left.
The travel
Let's
expenses.
go through
This
it.
is a list he made himself.
Okay.
And he
Can't
put
always
the
rely.
articulate. He's very smart
Clothing.
kid.
So you have some clothing.
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Okay. What about throw over blanket?
I
he's
don't
talking
have
about?
the blanket.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what he's talking
It's
about?
a Pokemon blanket, I think.
And you don't have it?
No, I don't have it on me today, Your Honor.
No, that's not what I asked you, whether you have it with you today. I asked you if you have it at the house.
I don't have it because it was in a garage, and when I did look, this was all that was there.
He has here amount of money owed, $62. I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, he also got birthday money, and he said that they borrowed it for some cigarettes and other things.
Did he have any birthday money that he got while he was in your care?
Yes, he did, Your Honor. What we did is, to give Eric the money back, we took him to shows, we took him places, and that's the way we gave his money back to him at the time.
You went together as a family?
Yes, family
All right.
thing.
You have to give him back that $62. When you take your child to a movie or to a game or to
That's
bowling,
right.
you pay for it.
Okay.
What about a wrapped collector promo Pokemon card?
I have no idea on a Pokemon card.
A Game Boy Color unit?
That was the one that I think we did send back. My witness here, my fiance, if she could stand up, she knows quite a bit about this too.
Well, stand up and tell me where the Game Boy is.
Okay, the Game Boy was an instance in the evening. I was away in California. I got a call.
Where is it?
It should be in the garbage, ma'am. It was broke because Eric refused to put it away when he was told to.
And what happened to
his
it?
father took it out of his hands, and it slipped out of his father's hands and went onto the floor. At that time, the screen was broke on it.
Okay, so it's not that you don't have it, it's that you broke it, sir.
Yes,
See,
sir.
look how smart she is. You're terrific. All right, so you're home for Game Boy.
Yeah.
Sega game system and 5 titles. Do you know about a Sega system?
Sega system came up with him from California, but it's nowhere around us. I have no clue. We bought him a Nintendo 64 because the Sega wasn't adequate enough for him. From October until June, I have no clue what he did with his game, ma'am.
Where is the Nintendo 64?
He took it home with him
He
to his
did?
mother's, yes.
You have the Nintendo 64?
The only Nintendo 64 that's at our house was the one that had been there.
You have a Nintendo
Yeah,
64?
we have one. We have
Good.
one.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She didn't send everything back when she sent him home if there was no intent
listen
for
to
him to
me.
be back.
Stop with the nonsense. This is nonsense here, madam.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Suzanne Hoffman says ex-husband Nick Smoljan owes for travel expenses because he didn't show up at the airport to pick up their son. Suzanne also says Nick refuses to return their son's belongings.
Personal journal? Did you find the journal?
No. We cleaned out his room thoroughly. There was just a bunch of garbage left in it.
What about family photos?
I have seen family photos that he had.
Do you know where those are?
No, ma'am, I don't. If I did, I would definitely give them to him.
Of course you would. Could you take another look for them?
I certainly will.
Okay. What about a bicycle?
We bought him a used bicycle. He never rode it because he didn't want to fix it up. It wasn't good enough for him because it didn't come from a brand new store. And he was very upset. He's a very material young man.
I disagree with that completely.
About what?
Him being totally materialistic.
All right. Well,
he's always been satisfied with what he's had.
Do you have a receipt for the bike?
No, ma'am. We
Do you
paid
know where it is?
$25 cash at a yard sale for it.
Do you still have it?
Yeah, it's
probably. Do you want to
been
pay
out
to
in
have
the
it
rain.
shipped? Do you want to pay to
I
have it
don't
shipped?
want to
Of course
pay to
not.
have it shipped.
Well, sorry. What about a microscope? Do you have a microscope?
No, ma'am. He got one for Christmas, but I have no idea where that is at this time. I could look through the stuff in the garage that we couldn't bring. I mean, we just brought what we could on the plane, which is a special backpack that his mother did send him up with. She sent him with 2 duffel bags and some clothing.
And that's why I'm wondering why she didn't send everything back when she sent him home if there was no intent
listen
for him
to
to
me.
be back.
Stop with the nonsense. This is nonsense here, madam.
Okay.
Miss Hoffman.
I'm sorry.
It's
Judge Judy,
nonsense.
I'm
She's
not-
she has his backpack. Certainly, I don't believe that the child has to pay for his own entertainment from his birthday money when you go as a family, so that goes back to you. When you broke his Game Boy, which he values at $80. What else?
I really think you need to speak with Eric. Please. The only reason I'm here is because Eric wouldn't let go of this stuff. I didn't want to file his papers. He couldn't let go of the things, and his dad leaving him at the airport in Portland. He talked to his dad the Friday before he took the plane. I have a witness here that sat there while he made that phone call. The last time I spoke with Nick, when I was at the airport, I was paged, and they changed the flight to 2 weeks later.
Miss Hoffman, you said that your son spoke to his father the Friday before he was going to leave.
Right.
Yes.
Well, shh, just a second. Did you speak to and said to you, Dad will be there at the airport, I assume?
I talked to him 2 weeks prior to that.
2 weeks prior to that was when you were going to send him before, and he told you not to send him. After that, did you confirm with him that he would be there to pick him up 2 weeks hence? Did you confirm that with him? Yes or no?
No, not me personally, because...
Just a sec. Well, I'm talking about you personally.
No, I did not speak to Nick personally after that.
So your son did?
Yes.
That was a mistake?
I guess so.
Well, that was a mistake.
May I address that issue?
Just a second. If you're making arrangements for a child who is clearly a troubled child, as you just quiet and listen, been around the block a long time, and I've seen a lot of kids.
I understand. You have been.
Good. So, if you're making arrangements for that kind of a child to be transferred and traveling alone, you don't rely on the 15-year-old who vacillates between who he wants to live with. No. To just listen to me.
Yes, I'm listening.
You don't rely on that child to make the travel arrangements with his father. You get on the phone with his father or the fiancé with whom he lives and make clear arrangements when he's coming, what time the plane is going to arrive, what time he's going to be there. You didn't do that.
I did that.
No.
I didn't do that 2 days before the flight. I did that 2 weeks before the flight. But I did that. Eric's really a very smart kid.
Miss Hoffman, one cannot assume that a father who agreed to take custody for a year of his child, hadn't lived with him, and was clearly giving you, who were the custodial parent, a lot of trouble, and then desert him purposefully at the airport. I cannot fathom what kind of human being would do that.
Well, neither can
I. Unless what was happening was you really wanted to send him back to his father, and his father said, no, I'm not taking him back, which is what he says. I can't do it. I have seizures, and it's causing me problems. It caused me problems with her.
Could you listen to my witness? She heard Eric's side of the conversation when he spoke to his father Saturday.
He didn't speak with his father. He spoke with me.
Spoke with you?
Yes, ma'am. And
that
it was
is not true.
In
that
August, Eric
true.
called and said that his mother was putting him on the plane and that he did not want to come. He was scheduled to fly out on August 11th of 2001. I called the airline at that moment in time, and it was either United or Delta, I don't recall.
Please.
And informed them that Eric was being sent with no one that was physically and medically capable of taking care of this child. At this point, she did not send Eric to us. She waited until 2 weeks afterwards. Then we were notified. We weren't even home. We were away elk hunting. We bow hunt, okay? We were away. I got a page on my pager. I went down. It took me 20 minutes to go to the nearest local store. They informed me that someone other than Suzanne, I don't know the name of the lady, had called and said that Eric was in the at Portland Airport at that moment. From my front door, it is a 2.5-hour drive, and that is not leaving for traffic. That is no snow over the pass. That is basically point A to point B, going the speed limit with no distractions.
Okay. Bird.
Yes, Judge.
The court is going to draft an order. The backpack will be turned over to Eric, and another $62 for his birthday money and $80 for his Game Boy. That's $142. That will be a judgment. And I'm going to ask all of you to sit down, and I'm going to see Eric in the back, please, alone. Please. Okay?
Suzanne Hoffman says ex-husband Nick Smoljan didn't show up at the airport to pick up their son. She is suing for travel expenses and for the return of the boy's personal property.
All right, would you step up, please? I will briefly tell you what I told Eric. I said that just because people are parents don't make them perfect, and that I believe that the fact that you weren't there at the airport to pick him up was a case of real miscommunication among everybody. And if, Miss Hoffman, you don't buy into that, that's your problem.
I know.
Why don't you be quiet and listen? If you don't buy into that, that's your problem. But if you want to do anything to protect your son and make sure that he feels as if both his parents care for him, then that's the story that you'll either start to believe or you will start to project. Because the fact that you have let him buy into this sense that he was totally rejected by his father by leaving him abandoned at the airport doesn't make him feel any better. It may make you feel better.
No, it doesn't make me feel better.
Why don't you just listen? You are not receiving. I don't care what the truth of the matter is. What I'm telling you is any child that is made to feel that they were abandoned doesn't make them feel good. Right. I have said to Eric, I don't believe after hearing this far that there was purposefulness on his part of leaving him stranded. And I hope he believes me. And if you do anything to dissuade him from that belief, you are not being a good mother. Period. End of discussion. And I don't know what the truth is. I don't care. It's my sense. That's what I told him. I also told him that you needed, because he seems to like you. He seems to like you very much. You are going to do your best to look through the garage, which he acknowledged has a lot of people's things, and look for some things that have sentimental value to him. The pictures that he talked about, and whatever other memorabilia that you see there, it looks as if it belongs to him. It will go a long way because circumstances change. This year, Mom's the gardenias. Next year, it could be Dad the gardenia. So we want to get all these lines of communication. So I want you to do me this favor and both sit together. Yes, Mom, I certainly will. And anything that you find that's not mentioned in this order, you'll put it in the box and mail to him directly. The backpack was pleased to hear that you brought. I told him that you were going to reimburse him for $62 of his birthday money and the Game Boy that he says you smashed. So that's $80. So that is a judgment on Eric's behalf. For $142, the backpack will be transferred today. Also, he has some clothes. Yes.
Yes. Eric is very emotionally challenged, and all of his records are still up at Tillamook Family Counseling. So I don't know if she's sought emotional counseling, but he was in the school counseling every single day. I have documentation of this. He was at 42 different counseling appointments for him, individual plus 11 different ones in our home. And he really, my stressor and my whole point for being here today is that Eric needs help to be a wonderful, well-rounded individual. He's very, very smart. He has a lot to offer our world. But if his emotional issues are not met, I fear for both Eric and our world.
May I suggest that you photocopy all the records that you have?
I have them for her.
Give her a copy. Do you have them today?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. Make sure she gets it today. What she does with them is totally up to her. She has primary physical custody of this child at this point, so she should be able to take care of... What are you crying about?
Because I'm not I'm not as articulate as I should be, and I'm sorry. I have taken Eric to counseling. We have been doing all the things that we're supposed to do.
Fine, then what's the problem? She's giving you the records.
The problem is,
she's
this
giving you the
man comes in
records.
here, and I'm sorry. I don't mean to put him, to say anything against him. I don't.
So then don't. So then don't.
Okay.
Then don't. I said to you there was a miscommunication. There was a miscommunication.
I don't believe that.
Well, that's your problem, Ms. Hoffman. Get over it.
You told me that.
Get over it. Get over it. And if you're taking Eric to counseling, that's wonderful. And she's going to give you a copy of the records that she has for the year.
That's good.
You should be able to give them to your counselor. So I don't know what your problem is.
I'm sure the counselors already have been in touch with each other from California to Oregon because I released all so they could go back and forth with the information when he moved
all
up
she's
there.
doing is giving a copy of your record. She's trying to be complete.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Please excuse you, may step out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of King, Lentz, Newell, Proj versus Conover. Step forward, please.
College students Christina King, Erica Lentz, Anna Newell, and Kelly Kaloje are suing their former roommate, 19-year-old student Michael Conover, for breaking a lease. Michael says he never signed a lease.
All right, Miss King, you and your 3 co-plaintiffs were in college. You got an apartment, the 4 of you, and you agreed, according to you, to have the defendant as your 5th roommate. Is that right?
That's correct.
The 4 of you signed a lease? Correct. Is that right?
Yes.
The defendant did not sign the lease. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the 4 of you had agreed to share this apartment before the defendant came into the picture?
That's correct.
According to you, the defendant stayed until Thanksgiving when he unceremoniously left, leaving a mess, leaving the heat turned up, leaving beer cans all over, whatever. He left a mess. He gave you no notice. You want him to pay his share of the 5th of the rent for the entire duration of the lease, which is 1 year.
Correct.
And utility bills, etc. That's what your lawsuit is.
Yes.
The defendant says he was never on the lease and you were rude to his girlfriend. So that's why he moved out, and if he hadn't been rude, then he would have stayed. That's your defense, right?
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did not the defendant sign the lease?
Well, upon contacting...
Fast.
Okay. We contacted him. We told him what the lease was, a year long. We told him he had to go to the office and sign the lease.
But he never did.
He never did.
What'd you let him move in for?
He told us that he would.
But he didn't.
Correct.
And he lived there the entire month of September?
Yes, paid rent, paid utilities.
Entire month of September, entire month of October, and part of November, and you never saw to it that he signed the lease?
He told us that he had taken care of it.
Did you go down and make sure that he took care of it?
Well, the complex told us within the first month, Michael needs to go down and sign the lease. Okay, he didn't sign the lease. We didn't know that. But
okay. Now, ladies, after he moved out, what did you do to try to replace him as a roommate?
We tried to, we couldn't replace him because his stuff is still in his bedroom. He's got
throw it in the garbage.
We didn't know legally if that was okay because...
I'm telling you, why didn't you pick up your stuff?
I didn't have, all I had was a hatchback and another car to move my stuff. I had
Just a second. Are you telling me that your stuff is still in your room?
I have my bed frame and mattresses, yes.
Oh, sir, then you have to pay rent. What is wrong with you, sir? You move out, and you have to put the apartment in a position where they can at least try to bring down their damages by trying to rent it. You're telling me that you didn't move your stuff because you have a small car?
No,
Is that what you're telling me?
No.
Well, why didn't you move your bedroom set out of there and your furniture?
I moved as much stuff as I could on the day that I moved out, but the reason I didn't get the furniture is because, like, I didn't have the vehicle to get it transported, like, to take it to my new apartment. I didn't want to come back while they were there because I didn't want there to be a confrontation. I didn't want there to be any trouble. So, like, and then I found out that they were suing me, so I definitely didn't want to go in there without anybody's permission to take the stuff. I didn't want to get any more trouble than I already
When
was.
did you ask if you could get your stuff out?
I didn't ask anybody. And I never asked.
So then you never asked anybody. So what you're telling me is you didn't move your stuff out when you moved out because you didn't have a big enough car.
Right.
Jerk. You moved out in November. Did you pay November's share of your rent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he pay November's share of his rent?
He paid November, yet he still has an August rent that he did not pay. He had a bounce check that he tried to pay. We have.
Did he pay August rent?
No.
So he's behind 1 month.
Right.
So far.
December.
Until the time that he moved out.
Correct.
Okay. How much was his share of the rent?
$220 plus.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
$220. November you paid.
Yes.
You didn't pay December. Is that right?
No, I did not.
And your junk is still there.
Yeah.
Your stuff is still there. January, is that right?
Yes.
Now, let's get into February. Have you tried to look for another roommate?
Well, the way our semester system works, we feel that it's impossible now to get a lease because of the semester has already started. People have already signed leases.
We have contacted our apartment complex. They said that every now and then they'll get people who want to sublease for a semester and a summer. We've contacted them, told them if anyone gets in contact with them to let us know, but so far they've had nothing.
Okay.
And Your Honor, we physically can't move his stuff. His
Oh, no,
bedroom
no, I'm going to take care of that right now. Okay. Okay? Thank you. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to make this very, very fast. Within 3 days, sir, you are to get an appropriate van at exactly noon.
Okay.
72 hours from today, you are to be at the complex to get your furniture. If you are not there, I am going to draft an order. They can take your furniture and donate it to Salvation Army. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand? Donate it to Salvation Army, give it away, throw it out on the street, call garbage. Anything that's there after 12 o'clock, 72 hours from today, is trash or sell it. Sell it. Do you understand? Now, I am giving you ladies rent for the month of August, this year, the month of December, you understand? The month of January, the month of February, and the month of March. That gives you more than ample time to try to find somebody to fill in for his share of the rent. The fact that they were rude to you, sir, is meaningless to me. You had an obligation. And instead of sitting down like a human being and saying, this is not working out, let's try to find a way to resolve this, you just had a party on Thanksgiving and moved out unceremoniously. That's not the way adults behave. And according to you, you moved into a new apartment, which means that you have been contemplating that for at least more than 72 hours if you found a new apartment. Are you living in a new apartment alone?
No.
Who are you living there with?
With my best friend back home, his girlfriend.
And what about your girlfriend?
She lives in the village where not more used to live.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,100. And in addition, the court will draft the order. You have 72 hours to get out your junk. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Defendant was your former fiancée. She also worked with you in your business, is that right?
Yes, she did.
And you lived together?
Yes.
According to your complaint, you came home one day and found that she left?
Yes.
She left taking certain of your property. You want back engagement jewelry that you gave to her, and you want her to pay some utility bills and return your property.
Correct, I
That's
do.
what the case is about. Defendant says she worked for you without pay for most of the 2 years that you were together. She doesn't owe you anything, and some of the jewelry she tossed in the river. Is that right?
I still have the jewelry.
All the jewelry?
All the jewelry.
Including the engagement ring?
Including the one engagement ring. The other ring was a Christmas present.
And what did you do with that?
It's at my house. I have
And
both of them.
where is the engagement ring?
That's at my house also.
Well, why didn't you bring it? That was in dispute.
I didn't want to bring it on the plane, and I didn't want to lose it. I guess I didn't think
That's
that I
fine.
needed to bring that information.
That's fine,
here.
but you know that that has to be returned to him.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I offered to do that. I offered to give everything back.
Now tell me about the engagement ring. Big, small, how much did you pay for it?
The engagement ring that I gave her was $1,000.
Describe it to me.
It's a half-carat diamond ring. I bought it from a guy I know up in
Okay, is that the engagement ring that you're talking about?
Yes, but he did not pay $1,000.
I don't care. He's not getting money. He's getting the engagement ring back, and you're
Yeah.
going to give it back to him.
Yep.
All right, so the engagement ring you get back. Now, let's talk about this engagement jewelry.
Okay. What it actually is, Your Honor, it ain't a engagement in jewelry. What she did is when she moved out of my home, I bought her a necklace. Okay, it was a 28-inch gold Duragold necklace. It was
It was a gold necklace. You bought her a gold necklace.
I bought her one and I bought myself one. She took both of them. Okay.
She took both?
Both.
No, she can't take yours. Did you take his necklace?
He never...
Yeah, but did you take his necklace?
Yes.
So far, he gets back his necklace. Listen to me very carefully.
Yep.
His necklace and the engagement ring.
Okay.
What else? How easy this is becoming. Easy. What else?
She also, at the time that she moved out, took my kids' bed.
Okay, so we finished the jewelry. Jewelry is disposed of. All the other jewelry she has were gifts from you, so there's no engagement jewelry. You get back your necklace and the engagement ring. Yeah? And she took the kids' bed?
My kids' bed.
Kids' bed.
I got 2 kids, yes, ma'am.
That's kids, that's 2.
Right.
Kids is be a lot more than 2.
kids. Thank you very much.
Go ahead. Took the kids' bed. Why'd you take your bed?
It was our bed that we bought together.
Did you sleep on it with it?
Yes.
How was it with kids?
At the time his kids were sleeping on it. He had another bed at our old house, which was a bunk bed that was for his kids. That bed that he was talking about, I purchased with my friend Renee. She was a witness. She gave me cash to go receive that for us together. We were together for 3 years. Everything was mutual, everything.
What kind of business do you do?
I own my own towing business out of St. Paul, Minnesota. Yeah.
And what kind of work did the defendant do for you in your business?
She was doing everything she wanted to do. I mean, she did stuff with the computer once in a while, answer telephone. Stuff like that.
You work out of a house?
No, I own my own shop and everything. Yeah.
I don't know. But she's not with you business sometimes.
Yeah.
Files. Answer the phone. She works. How much did you pay her every week?
It all depends.
How much did you pay her every week?
Right away in the beginning, she didn't get a whole lot. She didn't. When she came to me with 2 bags of clothes, Your Honor.
How much did you pay her?
In the beginning, she probably got about $200 a week.
When you say the beginning, you mean the first 6 months or the first year?
Well, probably the first year she got about that.
Okay, so the first year you paid her $200 a week.
Yes, ma'am.
In cash.
Yep, and she didn't have to pay no bills at the home. She didn't have to pay for a phone bill. She didn't have to pay for a vehicle. She didn't have to pay for nothing, Your Honor. She didn't have one payment.
Okay, so this $200 was just her spending money.
Exactly.
Fine. What else do you say she took of yours?
I got a list about this long,
well,
but I'm not worried.
I want to tell you something. Cull it down.
Exactly.
What I'm really like
for,
this, not like this.
What I'm looking for is my kids' bed given back to me, and then I want my bills paid for at the home, okay, Your Honor?
What bills? I thought you told me she didn't pay any bills.
After we moved into our new home in March of this year.
I thought you told me she stayed with you and you took care of all the bills.
Up until January 1st. January 1st of this last year, 2001, I sold my business, okay? January, February, March, April, May, I paid the bills at the home. June, she started paying bills at the home. June, July, August, September, October, November
Why
were
did she
her
start paying bills?
responsibilities. Excuse me?
Why did she start paying bills?
Because it was her responsibility. She had her own, she went and got a different job, you know, and the money was running out, you know, from me selling the business and stuff like that. It was her responsibility. I still paid the house payment.
Just a second. What kind of an arrangement did you make with her with regard to the bills, sir?
Well, she would pay the phone bill, she would pay the electric bill, she would pay the NSP and the gas bill. And, you know, just little bills around the house. I mean, they weren't like the house payment or anything else like that.
Is the house in both your names or just in your name?
It was in my name.
Why would you want to make a house payment that's in your name?
Why would she drive a car that wasn't hers?
I mean, you must have given her permission.
Well, exactly.
Okay. Did you make an agreement with him to pay certain of the bills?
Yes, I did.
Did you pay those bills?
No, I didn't. At the time when I moved out, he had told me specifically that I did not need to pay no bills because I was not living there. So
well, just
I
a
didn't
minute.
pay them.
For how long hadn't you paid the bills?
Oh, it was just, I don't know, probably
When did you move out?
It was November 4th and November 5th, I do believe.
So November. In August, did you pay the bills?
I am not sure.
When was the last time she paid the household bills, sir?
Sometime right around August, September. I got all the paperwork
August or
right.
September. Just listen to me carefully.
Yes, ma'am.
August or September. So she had paid whatever bills you're talking about through, say, September. So we're talking about October.
We're talking September, October, and November, ma'am.
Why didn't she pay in September?
I don't know why she didn't pay.
So what did you say to her when she didn't pay them?
I didn't know she didn't pay them. When I came home from work after she had moved out, NSP had a disconnection notice on my door to shut off my electricity at my home.
So you didn't know that those bills weren't being paid?
No, ma'am, I did not. She told me when she moved out, I asked her specifically about the bills, and I asked her father at the time about the bills. And she told me that she had paid those bills, and she had mailed them out.
Fine. And she didn't?
And she did not.
So she was saving a couple of dollars.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sean McMurray says ex-fiancée Melissa Cieslak owes for unpaid bills and for the return of engagement jewelry.
How much do you owe on the bills that she had agreed to pay?
It's $1,092.64, Your Honor.
All right. Are we finished with you?
I do believe that's all I have right at the present time. If I can get my kids' bed back, I'd greatly appreciate it.
No, you can't.
You
She took the bed. She needs a place to sleep. What else?
She moved back into her mother's house, Your Honor. She had a bed at her mom's house. She had two beds at her mom's house.
I assume she did. Okay. What are your kids sleeping in, the bunk bed?
I had to go buy them a brand new bunk bed.
So now they have a new bunk bed.
Yeah, I had to buy
Way
it.
to go. Okay. Anything you want to tell me about these utility bills that you didn't pay? What?
Basically that he put all the bills in a pile at the house. We went through them together, and me and him actually got in an argument over this whole deal because he put them underneath a big pile of bills, and I said, why didn't you bring this to my attention? I do not receive the mail. It's his house. He receives the mail. He did not bring it to my attention that the bills were due. I had bought in things for the dogs, the kids, the house, as far as food and everything else. That's where my money went.
But you had agreed with him to pay the utility bills.
That's what he wants to say, but it
I'm
wasn't
asking you.
really an agreement.
Well,
It
were you
wasn't like
paying
that
those
because-
bills for the months before September?
Yep.
Of course you were.
Because I had another different job.
All
And I
right,
was,
good. Okay, so you are going to, within 5 days, return his ring and his necklace.
Okay.
Not yours. Yours is a gift. And pay for the utility bills that you were supposed to pay for in the amount of $1,092. Judgment?
Your Honor, can I ask one more question?
Yes.
In my box, along with my gold necklace, was the receipt for my gold necklaces. Along with that receipt was the certificate for the warranty. Now the thing has a lifetime warranty on it.
A warranty for a necklace?
It's a Duragold necklace from Kohl's department store.
I don't know what Duragold is.
What it is it's you buy an extra. It's like paying for a necklace. You buy the next higher grade. It's a Duragold is what it's called. And along with that necklace, if it breaks at any time, you bring it back to the department store.
I never heard of Duragold. Did you ever hear of Duragold?
No, but anything's
You
possible.
bring it back to the department store at any time. They'll replace it for no cost. Without that receipt, the necklace
If
is
she
useless.
has a copy of the receipt,
She
should
has
make...
the receipt.
Well, she needs one too, because I assume that you bought her a Duragold
And there are
necklace
two receipts
too.
in that paperwork. Yes, ma'am.
You have an extra copy of the warranty for him?
But can I also mention that when he had showed me the necklace, the first one I got was for Christmas. The second one, he had told me specifically it was in case I ever lost this necklace, there was another one because it was such a good deal.
Put a period. Move on. You look like two nice young people. Do your children live with you, sir?
I have them part-time every other week.
How old are they?
One's 11 and one's 3.
They're a full-time job, right?
Yeah.
I just remember something my mother used to say. 2 children are twice as hard as 1, 10 times as hard. And 3 children are probably 300 times as hard as 2. Just so you remember that.
I will. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Very defensive, very angry man he is.
I'm not an angry person. We both have our problems, you know what I mean? We're not angry people, we just don't get along together.
I never ever once wanted to hurt him or harm him.
Biggest kick in my face I've ever had.
Ms. Ross, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were engaged to be married. Did you live together?
Yes, ma'am.
From when to when?
I believe it was June of 99.
And when did you separate?
January of 2000.
January 2000 or 2001?
2001.
Yeah, I was actually actually ready to go in June of 99.
Well, when did you start to live together is what I want to know.
He moved in my second local originally in 1999.
What month?
It was October.
October of 99, not June. Okay. Now, at that time, you claimed that he suggested to you that you get rid of your furniture because his grandmother was going to buy some new furniture.
Yes.
And you did that. Grandmother purchased new furniture, but there was an agreement that you would pay the credit card bill on the furniture. It is your claim that after you separated, he came and took all the furniture out of storage and that you had, in fact, paid for half of that furniture during the time that you were living together, so you want the value of half the furniture. The defendant says that he paid for the furniture, he's still paying for the furniture. When was the furniture purchased?
So on the March 15th, 2000.
And what furniture was purchased in March of 2000?
It was pretty much a whole recline, a living room set.
Living room set, so far, is that right?
Yes.
A bedroom set, plus a dining room table.
Table?
But that was not on the credit card. That was paid in cash to his mother.
Is that right?
That was given to me from my mother. It was a dining room table from her previously
So that was a gift, so let's forget the table.
Yes.
And that was all purchased in March of 2000 on a credit card. Grandma's credit card.
Yes.
How much do you say you put towards this furniture?
$1,000 about.
$1,000 about?
Within the year that we got the furniture, each month that we paid a month.
Were you sharing the expenses of living together?
Pretty much.
Not pretty much?
Yes, Your Honor.
You were?
Yes.
And how were you sharing them? What were you doing at that time? Were you working?
Yes.
What kind of work were you doing?
At the time I was dancing.
Dancing?
Yes, at that time.
And how much money were you earning dancing?
$1,000 a week usually.
So you put money into a joint checking account?
No, we had our own separate accounts, but I would give him cash to pay for bills, and he would write it out as the man of the house.
Is that right?
No, Your Honor.
Well, tell me how it worked.
Basically, she kept her money, I kept my money, we split the bills, and we came together to purchase things together, and the things that were purchased together, she was allowed to take with her when she left. But we had separate checking accounts, and she never came home and gave me, you know, large amounts of money.
I didn't say large amounts of money.
Well, she said that
what you're saying to me is that she's correct that you did, in fact, share joint bills and purchase things together.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that you decided to purchase together was this living room set and the bedroom set.
No, Your Honor.
Well, tell me why not.
Because when we agreed to move in with each other, she put her furniture in the stores because I said that my mom was going to buy me furniture and that we could use my furniture.
You said my furniture?
Yes, my furniture.
Mr. Miller, were you engaged at that time?
No, we were not.
When did you become engaged?
Only about 3 months after we moved in together.
You moved in together in October of '99.
The whole timing thing is a little confusing to me because...
Well, but try not to make it confusing to me, Mr. Miller, because I'm supposed to be able to resolve this case.
Sure.
The furniture was purchased in March of 2000.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, were you engaged at the time that the furniture was purchased?
No.
Were you engaged at the time the furniture was purchased?
He proposed to me Father's Day, which was May.
Father's Day is in June. Of what year?
Of year 2001.
June 2001 is when he proposed to you. So he proposed to you 5 months after he left you.
No, I'm sorry. I meant to say, I apologize. I meant to say that I recollect that he proposed to me. It was right around, I'm trying to remember because there was a big... All
right, now listen to me. This is what I want you to do. I'm going to sit here very quietly for a moment. I want the two of you to recognize that you're involved in a trial. At a trial, I'm asking you rather simplistic questions. I'm asking you to tell me certain dates so that I can make a determination as to whether this furniture was purchased for you as a couple, was purchased as an individual by a parent. What were the ramifications of the engagement? So I want you to take a deep breath and think. When did you meet? When did you move in together? When did he propose? When was the furniture purchased? Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now just be calm. Think. You don't look like you're thinking.
Are you ready for an answer?
Are you ready to give me an answer?
I'm ready to give you an answer.
Okay. When did you move in?
In October.
October of what year?
October of 2001.
And when did you propose?
About 4 months after that.
February of 2001. When did you purchase the furniture?
June 3rd.
June of?
2001.
2001. So you purchased the furniture, Mr. Miller, after you became engaged.
No, that's not what happened.
No, there's just a second. This is what you just told me. Let me go back, Mr. Miller.
Okay.
You told me that you moved in October of 2000.
Okay.
You told me 4 months after you moved in, you became engaged.
Mm-hmm.
That would be February of 2001. Then you told me you bought the furniture in what month and year?
I'm looking at the first payment. It says June 3rd, 01, so...
So you bought the furniture after you became engaged?
No, I gave you the wrong answer on the date, but I didn't... The furniture was purchased after, or before we were engaged, 3 or 4 months before. And I might not
according
have...
to the scenario you just gave me, Mr. Miller, after you thought very carefully.
Well, I'm not...
Go ahead. Now, be quiet. You got it. You had a turn. You had your turn. You took your best shot. All right, Miss Ross, was the furniture purchased before or after you became engaged?
After.
Oh, okay.
I mean, before. I meant to say before, I'm sorry. Because I remember sitting down on the dining room set when he bent down and proposed to me, and we had our furniture purchased. It was there at the house.
I love this.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Anna Maria Ross says after a physical fight with fiancé Steve Miller, she broke off the engagement. She is suing for half the cost of their furniture.
I want to see what's the balance remaining on the credit card for the furniture. Don't give me a whole bunch of papers, just show me the balance. Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. This case is becoming all too painful for me. Could you read this?
You have on your reading glasses.
I know, but look at this here.
I know.
Look at that there. Can you see that?
Whoa. I see the new balance. It's $2,470.68.
Is that the new balance, sir? Is that what's left? Yes. And what was the original purchase price of the furniture, Miss Ross? You're in a court. You know the exact amount.
Because there were separate payments, I can't find the total amount of the entire furniture. Yeah.
My thoughts, cases, techniques. Did folks ever learn about being prepared? You know, come to court, you're prepared, you have all your information, your numbers, all down there. And I'm not asking you anything that goes outside of the lawsuit that you brought. I'm not asking you about what caused the breakup or, you know, whether you liked each other towards the end. I'm not asking you any of those soft questions. I'm saying, when did you buy the furniture? How much did it cost? How much is left on the furniture?
Yeah, last week.
No, just give me a number. When you buy furniture, you have a bill. The bill says one chair, $200, one table, $300, one bed set, $900.
If she would purchase the furniture, she would probably have that information.
Look, so you purchased it, give it to me.
I don't.
You're not looking, so you purchased it, give it to me.
No, I did not purchase it. My grandma purchased it.
Well, then maybe we ought to dismiss this case and let your grandmother stand in your place. Well. Okay. Thanks, Bert.
Your Honor, may I state that in the beginning of the relationship, I had my own set of furniture that I purchased on my own. He sold it to his friends, and then we got the new stuff, and he lived in we've lived in 3 separate places since we've been together. This last prior place was with this furniture.
Listen to me very carefully. The furniture was purchased for about $3,000. There is almost $2,500 left on the bill. If you are not paying that bill, then you are not entitled to any furniture. Do you understand? You don't want to take out a loan, do you, and pay off this furniture?
No,
Of course not. And since you don't want to take out a loan, pay off his grandmother's credit card, or put that amount on a new credit card of yours so that she is no longer responsible, right? You can't have the furniture. Period. Goodbye. Thank you very much. This case was very painful.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You know, I'm happy with the outcome. You know, I don't feel that she deserved the furniture.
He ripped me off.
When 2 people come in a relationship with their own property, I think they should leave with their own property.
Never to mess with the loser ever again.
Your Honor, this is case number 471 on the calendar in the matter of Hames versus Stradley.
Thank you very much, Bert.
You're quite welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Ms. Hames, I've read your complaint very carefully, and it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you at a friend's house. You want to be paid for both your medical expenses as well as your lost wages and your pain and suffering. The defendant says that while she did hit you, you were the aggressor. All right. When did this happen?
This happened on Thanksgiving night.
Where?
At my girlfriend's house.
All right. And tell me what happened.
When I got there, my girlfriend was standing over by the Christmas tree, and I went over there to hug her and wish her happy Thanksgiving. Lori, at the time, was sitting on the floor down there, and she yelled at me very rudely like and says, "Can you put your cigarette out? My baby's in here." And I turned my head like this, and I said, "No."
Now, did you know the defendant before this incident occurred?
I've known Jessie, my girlfriend, since 1979. And I met Lori probably about a year or so ago.
Okay. So you turned around and said no when she asked you to put the cigarette out.
That's correct.
And you continued to talk to your friend.
Talk to my friend.
What happened next?
Then I kind of like just went and turned my head like this, and all of a sudden I saw this thing coming, which I was told was this. And it came at me right here, and my glasses flew one direction, and I came towards her to keep her from hitting me again. So me and her fell to the floor. Now, because she hit me and caught me off guard, I never got to see what she hit me with.
Do you have a witness here who saw what you were hit with?
Yes, I have my witness.
Step up, please. Tell me your name, sir.
Conrad Boyd, B-O-I-D.
Mr. Voigt, were you present on Thanksgiving evening?
Yes, we walked into the door like simultaneously, and it all happened so fast. The young lady right here was sitting on the floor, and she got up, she mentioned about the cigarette, and Brenda said no. And then she went back talking to Jesse, and she got up as if she was leaving, but when she walked, she popped her.
And did you see what she hit her with?
It appeared to be like a kid's guitar. It had like a handle on it.
So it wasn't this item?
It was something like this, but I thought I seen a longer handle.
But it was clearly an object, not her hand.
It's an object, right.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Voigt. Have a seat. What happened after you were hit?
After I was hit, then Conrad grabbed me and held me in another room, and Lori, someone grabbed her, and she left.
Did you go to the hospital?
I went to the emergency room because I work at the hospital. I went to the emergency room after I got off from work 3 o'clock in the morning.
What kind of injury did you sustain?
She said it was concussion, so she gave me
Do you have a report?
800 milligrams.
Do you have a report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. So there was bleeding in the area?
Yes, yes.
Underneath the skin?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Adley, let me hear your version of the events.
It was Thanksgiving Day. I was over at my boyfriend's mother's house. I was sitting on the floor. We had been over there all day. We were watching football and, had a very nice family Thanksgiving dinner. And Brenda knocks on the door, and, the door's answered, and she comes in, and she knows that we do not allow smoking around our child.
Don't tell me what she knows. You don't know what she knows.
Okay, sorry. So, we don't allow smoking around our child. Our daughter was in the house. She walks in with a cigarette, and I nicely asked her, I said, can you extinguish your cigarette, put it out, please? We're gathering our stuff and we'll leave. She said, no, I'm not putting my cigarette out. I just lit it, started cursing at me. I said, okay. And I turned, was walking over to the table to get my daughter's stuff, and I was hit by this part of her arm on the side of my head. Instinctively, this is my daughter's toy that I had in my hand. I had it by the handle, and I did hit her in the head with it. I was tackled across the living room, and my boyfriend, he intervened somewhere and pulled us apart after I was already on the floor, and I gathered the rest of my daughter's belongings. I apologized to Stan and Conrad and my mother, boyfriend's mother, and my boyfriend, and I went home and called the police.
All right, let's go back for a moment.
Okay.
You were sitting on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I'm not putting out my cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Hames says that she just continued to have her conversation, which, by the way, Ms. Hames, I think you were wrong. Wrong to say I won't put out my cigarette. It's Thanksgiving. You were asked to do something. Some people really object to smoke around babies. So if she said to you, would you put out your cigarette, she may have said it in a rude fashion. But it would have been better if you just put it out, because you can understand why she wouldn't want smoke around her baby, right?
Right.
These are two completely different stories, and I have to make a determination as to what is more logical. And to me, Miss Stradley, it sounds more logical to me that you got very angry when she said no and just ignored you, because that's what mothers do with their children. They are very protective. And when somebody says to you, no, I'm not going to put out my cigarette, or whatever else she said, and you thought someone was threatening the health of your baby, it is more logical that you attacked her first.
Can I add one thing, Your Honor?
Sure.
There was alcohol involved. Brenda and her boyfriends had been drinking when she showed up to the house.
That wouldn't make a difference.
Brenda and I have not gotten along ever.
So you don't get along. That's even more of a reason for you to have attacked her first, because she was just blowing you off. She just said, no, I'm not putting it out, and turned around to continue her conversation. That really annoyed you. Ms. Stradley, it is more logical that you got very angry with the plaintiff, who was rude. No question, she was rude. What you should have done was say, okay, you leave it. I'll take the cigarette outside, I'll put it away. You were rude. Do you understand that? That doesn't excuse the fact that you slapped her with an instrument that could have caused injury. The fact that it didn't cause a serious injury is just luck. Why you went and called the police, I don't know.
Because I was struck first, Your Honor.
No. I think that you went and called the police because you were afraid she was going to.
She hit me, so I hit her back. Self-defense.
No, you didn't hit her in self-defense. You hit her in anger because she was placing your child, according to you, at risk. So it's very clear. Everybody knows that we don't allow smoking near our baby.
That's
you don't
common.
get along. That's common sense. You're absolutely right.
Something that she lacks.
You're absolutely right. She should have put the cigarette out if you asked her. That doesn't give you permission to hit her, and you hit her first. No question, because she would have had no reason to hit you. She said no and continued to have a conversation with her.
No, she doesn't have a reason.
Even if she was drunk, she would not have a reason to hit you, because she had already given you her answer. And her answer was, no, I'm not putting out the cigarette.
You're the judge.
Right.
Real cases. Judge Judy. Brenda Hayes says she was assaulted by Lori Smiley on Thanksgiving Day. Brenda, when she refused to put out her cigarette, Lori hit her in the face with a child's toy.
Ms. Stradlin, it does not make sense for her to have assaulted you after she already gave you her answer. It does make sense, however, if you were so angry, and you were angry. You didn't get along with her. You have not gotten along with her. She not only disrespected you, but she was smoking around your child, which is something that you and your boyfriend believe is dangerous to the child. So she was placing your child in danger, and that's what mamas do when somebody places their child in danger. They strike out, which is exactly what you did. Now, Ms. Hames, you were not seriously injured. You went to work the next day. You had medical bills of $99, right?
Yes, I also has my glasses, which was also affected with that.
Well, how were they
had
affected?
to be fixed. I had to have my glasses repaired.
And how much was that?
The glasses, I paid $288.59 for those glasses.
Well, but they were fixed. So I want to see the bill for fixing them.
Okay, here we go, I'm sorry.
Is that the bill for fixing them?
Yes.
Can I add something else?
Sure.
Okay. My glasses were a little bent, too, and you take them into Walmart, you take them into Shopko, you take them into anywhere, and they adjust them for nothing. She's a joke.
Well, this is a bill that you're showing me from date of service, May 9th of 2000.
That's what I paid for the glasses.
I didn't ask you what you paid for the glasses, madam. You didn't replace the glasses. You had them fixed.
Right.
So how much did you pay to have them fixed?
They didn't charge me anything for them.
All right, and you're wearing them.
Right.
What else? Shh, please. What other expenses did you have?
Well, other than that doctor bill, that's all I've had. And, well, I'm still suffering from headaches on this left side of my head from where I was.
Try to quit drinking. Sorry.
See your temper?
Yeah, I have a temper.
That's what happened on Thanksgiving night. So watch
You
your
want to
temper.
take this so I don't use it again?
Watch your temper.
I'm being good.
$99 is what I have so far.
That's it, Judge.
The lawsuit seeks $4,000 in damages because in addition to everything else, you say you had lost wages, but you had no lost wages. You went to work the next day.
Well, when I got to work, I had such a bad headache, but I had to continue to work. After I got off work at 3 in the morning, Judge, I went down to the emergency room.
Fine. Did you go to work on the next regularly scheduled day that you had to go to work?
because
So you had no lost wages. I'm awarding you on your claim 10 times the actual damages that you sustained. The actual damages were $99. So I'm awarding you on your claim $990. And I think you really have to examine whether or not your words precipitated this altercation. It does not excuse the defendant's behavior. She is clearly a hot-tempered lady. Clearly. But just think for the future, if you're around somebody and somebody says you're a smoker, I have my baby, you put out the cigarette, you do it. Big deal. You got it? You're real lucky that she wasn't holding you. Lucky, you're very lucky, because if she had been further injured as a result of your hitting her with a dangerous instrument, you could have...
It's not dangerous.
Anything is a dangerous instrument depending upon its use. A child's toy is... Hey, don't be stupid and laugh. Please don't be stupid and laugh. A child's toy is meant to be used by a child. Its purpose is not to be used as an instrumentality to an assault.
Unless you're...
And that's what you did. And you were not assaulted first, madam. Say that you were again. You made it up in your own head.
But you weren't there, and I was hit first.
Never happened. It never happened. I do, and I'm the only one that counts.
Like I said, it's a joke.
It is a joke. She told him. She's just a drunk. I don't care. Oh my God, I'm drunk. Oh, your complaints and your ranting. Counterclaim. Gave me a headache. You two people lived together for about 2 years?
About a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Not even a year and a half.
Here we go.
We lived together
You lived together for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You have several complaints, Miss Moncrief. First, you say that he, at some point, had a rental car that belonged to you, took you to the airport. He was supposed to return the rental car. He didn't return it right away.
Mm-hmm.
He wrecked the rental car, and you had to pay certain monies to the rental car company.
It hasn't been paid yet. It's in collection.
Okay. He acknowledges he wrecked the car, right?
Yes, I do.
Your defense to that claim is that previously she had intentionally wrecked your car so that you had an agreement with her that you were going to call it even.
The damage was going to cost the same amount. Both cars were totaled, so...
Okay, so let's start with that one complaint. It's acknowledged that you drove her to the airport in her rental car and that you totaled the rental car that she's responsible for.
Yes.
Now let's hear your defense to that, sir. Tell me about when she totaled your car.
It was in September of 2000.
Yes?
And we were arguing. She got mad, ran outside of the house, got in her car, started to take off, followed her outside, and I did flip her off, and she stopped her car, put it in reverse, and tried to run me down, and in the process, ran into my car.
That's not
Okay,
true.
well, tell me what happened in September 2000 with his car.
We were arguing over trivial things, and I decided to leave. It was escalating. When I tried to get my things, he got physical. So I gathered up as much as possible. I went out to my car. When I went to leave, he jumped off the porch, jumped on top of my car, was kicking it and punching it and screaming. So I backed out as fast as possible. I'm not denying that I hit his car. I did back into it. It wasn't intentional. Then I took off. He jumped in that same vehicle and drove after me. It turned into a high-speed chase. I went to her mother's house, Candace Thompson, in order to go to safety.
So what you're telling me is that he jumped on your car, which caused you to pull out and hit his car. So you acknowledge that you hit his car. Did you ever discuss paying for the damage that was done to his car?
What we decided was there was 2 different times that I bailed him out of jail for different things. It was $500 apiece. He paid me back for the first one. He did. Then the second one, he decided that we would just call it even because it was a few $100s damage. It was his light and the fender. He then sold that car to his friend who is now driving it. There's nothing wrong with it. It wasn't totaled. And so we agreed that we would call it even on the bond, the bail, that he wouldn't pay me back for that, and I wouldn't fix his car.
Where is that car now, sir?
That car was sold to my friend.
Did you sell the car while the two of you were together?
No, we weren't together.
Well, you got back together again after this incident with the car.
No.
Well, you had to because you drove her to the airport later, sir.
We were friends. We lived
then
in
you were
separate
friends.
rooms inside of my home. We lived in separate rooms.
After September of 2000, did you collect any money from her for the damage to your car?
No.
Did you sue her?
No.
Good. Forget it. Let me see the estimate, what you have to give the insurance company for the car,
It
please.
started out $8,000, and then they covered some of it. So I have pictures
Just
as well.
tell me what you owe on the car.
It's $1,166.76.
Oh, okay. And is that what that says? Show Bird.
Yeah, it says 1031, but then there was interest accumulation. It went to collection.
Show him.
Okay. Right here. 103100.